Hello, good morning, good afternoon. Welcome to our Dream Bites. I'm here with Cassia and Anne. We're just going to attune together for a moment and do a little storytelling around the topic of the white animals. So let's just relax. If you're in a place where you can close your eyes, feel free to do so. Start to turn your attention inward, listening for the breath, feeling inside the body, resting in the body, inviting the body to relax. And together in our inner space, in our imaginative space, let's begin to imagine a place in nature that's looking out over a body of water, a vast sea, or a still lake. And imagine there's a light shining from the sun. Perhaps it's the sunrise or the sunset at a low angle, and it's shining through some rain clouds so we can see the rain forming into a rainbow. There's a lot of colors, all the colors of the rainbow. And down below, let's just imagine that we're resting in the water like a whale. And just for fun, if you can feel the specificity of the beluga whale, the mature beluga whale that is kind of a pearly white, breathing in through the top of the head, and imagining that the raindrops from this little rainstorm are washing down through the top of the head, breathing like the whale, moving down through the body, through the center of the body, cleansing and clearing, just like the white light reflects all the colors, contains all the colors of the rainbow. We can even imagine there's a column of white light that just connects with the sky, connects us down to the earth, with the imagination, dropping the root down into the earth. And as we come together, and just for fun, imagine that you're walking in your own place in nature. Could be through the forest, maybe down the beach, walking and feeling the feet on the earth, hearing the sound of perhaps a trickling brook, sound of water, sound of ocean waves, just feeling the wind on your skin and walking down the path, opening to an open space where we can see the fire burning, campfire burning. We move into that space where there's a seat just for you. There's a seat there that's always there just for you around the fire. And there's a circle of stones around the fire. I can feel relaxing just a little bit more, connecting to the stones. We give gratitude for the stone, feeling our space surrounded and protected by the trees. We give thanks for the trees and the animals that wish to be here. Special gratitude for the animals that as white animals. And there's a lot of stories around the white animals, different types of animals. Some of them maybe will speak today. Some of them will just listen. Just as we here in the circle, some of us will be speaking and some of us will be listening. We give gratitude to our ancestors, to the grandmothers and masters, the future generation. And with this feeling of gratitude, we come together, share our stories for the highest good of all. And I'll just share a little bit of a sense of what I'm feeling in this invitation to connect with the white animals. There is a sense of the color being associated with the white as a protective energy, a spiritual protection, a cleansing and a purification. And there are a lot of rich stories around the white animals as harbingers of a higher age or a new age, or sometimes called the fifth world, which to me represents the opening of the heart. So let's just take a moment just to feel the heart space that connects us. Just with a little attention there, we can feel the influx of love. And the interesting thing to me is we could equate the white with the masculine as we do sometimes the black with the feminine, but there's also this essence of the white, the wisdom of the grandmothers, the white feathers of the eagle as protective energy of the grandmothers. And there's the story of the northern plains, the Sioux, of the white buffalo calf woman who is a mythological character or supernatural, perhaps spiritual being that came to offer the sacred pipe and to teach the seven ceremonies, the sacred rituals that would be helpful and be protective to the people. And so I just love the energy of the invitation and the introduction of the contemplation of the buffalo reminded me of something that I recently heard from a native teacher about the buffalo, which is that the buffalo is the only animal that will face the north wind, which feels like a very strong energy. Where the rest of us, when the wind blows cold, we maybe turn our back or go hide and go inside and turn on the heat if we're modern people. But the buffalo will face the north wind. And, when the buffalo is threatened, the buffalo will create a circle. And, all the bulls, all the male buffaloes will be outside on the circle, and the calves and the female buffaloes will be in the center. So it feels like there's a lot of beautiful, beautiful contemplation around the white buffalo. And I'll just, uh, without inviting a story about them, I just want to recognize the presence of the white horse and the white eagle and the white deer and the white crow and the seemingly infinite number of animals that can appear as white or albino. Um, and just offer that up as an offering to the stories that come. Thank you for listening.
Thank you, David. Yeah, that was pretty magical. Thank you. Now you took me into all the animals. I feel their presence and all the white. It's just lovely, lovely to even think about it, to even contemplate it. So thank you for that invitation and for a lovely attunement. It's Kasia here, and I will take us to the story of my white animal that came to me that wanted to be shared a little bit backward. So I'll start with the fact that in the last week or two, perhaps even, I really start feeling even more the nature than ever. I mean, I've always been tuned into nature since I was a little girl. then I sort of drifted a little bit away from that. Not completely, but living in London and urban sort of setup. Even there, like I still was hanging out with foxes in the night, as in hanging out, just meeting them randomly and things like that. So it was always there, but I think it's natural to sort of drift away and then start like coming back to the connection to nature. And I feel like we live in times at the moment when the connection to nature is kind of inviting us as well to get back to it, via actual nature, via dreams, via some sort of, you know, even white feathers falling. It's just all part of the nature. And I love this. There's so many symbols, and dream arc obviously is the best place to be for all these symbols and meanings and invitations. And my white animal coming in now for it's Sunny, our dog, for those who can see. So yes, and basically so many animals start showing up, including the green woodpecker. And the 60-second jinky was in transition at that time last week, which is so perfectly aligned. And 60-second jinky, for those of you who don't know, the CD representation is a woodpecker. And the ones in here, they don't really come so close to you. And this one literally just landed. I was sitting on the chair, on the hanging chair, sort of, garden chair in a garden, and he or she just landed on the branch, literally above my head. I could literally reach my hand to it, and I just looked up and I was like in so much awe because I've never seen one from that close. And 60-second jinky is also my SQ. So it was so very special because I was tuning into a lot of of my soul sort of essence of my, like, what else do my soul wants to speak to me. So it's just so magical. And then I had this thing when a wasp arrived and it was munching on another insect, and it was just like, and all of these I now can connect to different type of jinkies and all this sort of stuff. But it's not even about numbers and jinkies, and it's just about the meaning behind all of this for you, for each single one of us. And then I was just like tuning into what animal wants to come through as a white animal. And my white animal that showed up was the owl, because it's all when it started for me. Because an owl, like a really lovely tiny owl, showed up in my dream about, it must be about 7 or so years ago. I've been already quite familiar with the jinkies at this point, but the dream arc wasn't even there yet. It was probably in creation, but by our amazing Rosie and Richard. And I had this amazing dream about Richard, which I knew of Richard. I knew who he was, so I recognized him in my dream. But then he was with this woman, and I didn't know the woman. And I was like, I assumed it must have been his wife or some friend, and they just showed up. And as they showed up, the little white owl showed up with them. And it just became the symbol for me of, like, pay attention here. This is like, a white owl is quite significant animal for me in my life. So I woke up with this like, whoa, what does that mean? This is quite fascinating. And then a few years later, Dreamark showed up, and then I started seeing Rosie. And then me and my husband, we had this beautiful opportunity to actually get to know Richard and Rosie, and had some chats and record some stuff with them. And it was just so beautiful to reconnect to that dream and just to feel like, wow, our life is magic if we actually pay attention and feel where are the little crumbs left for us, the little signs and symbols of like, oh, you are on the good path, or this is like becoming familiar. Because I was like, oh, hold on, I actually dreamt about that. I dreamt about them too. They were meantime probably collaborating on another time space sort of, some place, the dream arc. And then here we are, we're talking about it, we're recording it, the story, it keeps coming alive to it. And all the animals that keep showing up for me this last week especially, and week before, they were really showing the same thing about how incredible it is to know the dream arc. I'm so grateful for Rosie and Richard and everyone involved to create this amazing. It's not even a course. It's like it's a life wisdom that reminds us to be more connected with the nature, with the world around us, and in many different ways. You know, we're opening up now more to this, like I feel, to more of the dreams, you know, that comes through to us and the meaning behind some things, and then you see something in your the real life inverted comma, you know, and then it's just all intertwined into this lovely, lovely story. So I think I just wanted to bring the white owl of the wisdom that is there in the collective consciousness, that some people pick it up and digest it for us into some sort of course or space, but also even more so it's the wisdom that is inside us, you know, that connects to all that, you know. So it's just it came to me in this sort of form, so that's why I wanted to share the white all, the wisdom inside us that we all have, and a connection to the nature. Thank you.
Both, I think you've really been talking about connections, Cassia, um, and it's just both. I'm feeling the connection within our little group and talking about the white creatures, and so I'm going to be heading up into the Arctic for my share today, and in part. And, there's the snowy owl that lives in the north more so. They do come further down. We do sometimes get them here in Victoria in the wintertime. So they're just this incredibly beautiful um, white owl, of which I have a painting that I did. So I'm staring at that as I'm speaking. And then I have chosen today to share information about big white whale that David mentioned. And I'm going to talk about belugas. And some of us may know belugas from the song Baby Beluga by Raffi. And that goes, I'm not going to sing it, I'm just going to say the words. Baby beluga in the deep blue sea, swim so wild and you swim so free. Heaven above and the sea below, and a little white whale on the go. These were songs from when my kids were little. And so Baby Beluga comes up quite often. And I've been really debating about these white animals and which one do I want to bring through. And there's so many. And I love, David, how you brought through the albino ones and the significance of those. And I was just on a dance workshop this weekend, and it's a 5 rhythms dance that Gabrielle Roth produced. She didn't produce it. It's her system, and she was often called the White Raven. So I just love all these linkages and connections that are so alive in all of our lives. So I made my decision to talk about belugas yesterday as I was kayaking, and it was a beautiful, calm, crystal calm ocean, which is so, so rare. And I was really watching the reflection of the sky in the sea. And so that other connection, and there was this, like, one of the clouds was this, and it was actually in the ocean. And I was just that beautiful white path in the ocean. It was just so inviting. It was super interesting. And then later on yesterday, I realized that belugas are currently in the news in Canada. In Ontario, at a place called Marineland, a theme park and zoo that closed in 2024, there have been left 30 belugas that needed care and eventual rehoming. And yesterday was the beginning of transporting 6 of these belugas to aquariums in Chicago and Texas. They were, you can imagine the operation to get these whales that are up to 4.5 meters long and weigh up to almost 2,000 kilograms. They need to be hoisted from their tanks, transported by trucks, and then onto planes. And so they were flown out of Toronto Airport yesterday. This all happened for 6 of them, and there are plans for the remaining belugas to be removed, to be rehomed, and into the States, and I think some into Spain. So it would be lovely to return them to the wild, but it's really not an option. These belugas some of them have been born in captivity, and the others have been there for so long that they have no hunting or survival skills. So it's a little bit of a sad story, but at least they are getting rehomed as opposed to an alternative of euthanasia. So we would like them to at least be with their folk who are also at other aquariums in the world. So, and then I was really recalling how I had visited the Vancouver Aquarium in Stanley Park on my first trip out west when I was 11 years old. And I watched the beluga show. It was amazing. These huge white whales, they're sociable mammals. They have this bulbous forehead that can change shape to make different facial expressions and create their various calls, clicks, squeals, and whistles. And I really remember the thrill as a child of seeing them up close and personal. So I looked up a bit on the aquarium history, and the belugas were there from 1970 to 2016, when the last 2 that were on site died. They were the first Canadian aquarium where conception and birth of a baby beluga happened in 1995. Today, there are no more whales or dolphins, as there's municipal bylaws that have banned the keeping of cetaceans in city parks. And also, the Canadian government has passed a bill of ending captivity of whales and dolphins for public display, which happened in 2019. So we are coming to an end of this having the animals perform for us as humans, and that sort of thing that has occurred through my lifetime for sure. And even though it's lovely to be able to get to know these animals by seeing them, and it does create interest and often will lead people into careers when they see, say, dolphins and things, but I prefer to imagine them in their natural habitats. So in Canada, there are 2 groups of belugas. They live, hunt, and migrate together in pods of various size, from maybe 3 up to 100. The world population is 180,000 belugas, and 2/3 of those spend their summer in the Arctic sea ice in northern Canada. There's also a small population called the St. Lawrence Estuary belugas who live in the St. Lawrence River in Quebec. And that division happened during the last ice age, which is interesting. Belugas migrate to specific feeding spots, molting spots, and nursing areas every year. So they very much have a habitual pattern within their social system. They're opportunistic feeders. They have a flexible neck. Their spine is much more flexible, which allows them to forage near the bottom of shallow water. They also herd fish in groups. They actually molt every summer. They return to these shallow places and they rub off their old skin, and this improves their hydrodynamics in the water. Thought that was interesting. And babies are usually born May through July, after about 14 to 15 months of gestation. And a female gives birth every 2 to 3 years and nurses the calf for a year. I had one last query as to why are they white? And it turns out they're gray when they're born, And then the gene coding that produces melanin is gradually deactivated as they mature over 12 to 16 years. So once they're a mature adult, they have no more pigment in their skin. And their white skin is an advantage for blending into the Arctic environment in winter. They're quite camouflaged from their main predators, which are killer whales, polar bears, and humans. So this is the adaptation that they have proved. Um, there's a really super Netflix series called Our Oceans, and it includes one on the Arctic seas where you have some amazing beluga footage and sound recordings. So I really encourage anybody who's interested to go and have a look at the belugas living their lives in the Arctic. They're really some amazing footage they got. So it's a wonderful world that we live in when we can know more and see these beautiful animals. And when you see overhead shots of these huge white animals swimming in our oceans, it just expands my heart. So thank you for listening.
Wow, that was beautiful. I'm so glad you guys shared the stories of the beluga and the snowy owl. Those are some of my favorite white animals too. And interesting as I was listening, for whatever reason, I was reminded of the white wolves. The and also related to this rehoming story that you shared. There was a place here in Oregon on the way to the Oregon coast called the White Wolf Sanctuary that we've been able to visit once or twice. And it's a place where wolves that have been kept in captivity, kind of like you were describing, they aren't able to live in the wild. This woman has created this sanctuary for them. And when we were there, actually, had been some young ones born, so there were some activity there. But rather than um, go into more story, I'm going to close by reading a message I received from the white wolf, when I was listening and inviting animals to share, and then just kind of writing into my journal what I was hearing. And so this is kind of a wolf story, a wolf prayer. I am Wolf, the lone wolf within you. I come to remind you that you are not alone. In your all oneness, I am always with you. I find my way through the trackless tundra, over mountains and through valleys. I am the pathfinder, the waymaker, and I am the gatekeeper. I find my way back to the heart of the pack. I know my place in the family. Each one has a special gift to be honored and respected. I know each one by their scent, by the power of discrimination and intuition that comes from awakening the heart's natural love. Because of my knowing and respect for each one, I am the tribe's teacher. I teach the original lesson: know thyself. All other lessons spring from that. If you feel the call of life's lessons or desire to share your own lessons learned, then listen to my voice. I howl with intention and with pure joy. I howl at the moon and I howl in the light of day. Listen to my voice of wisdom and you will find your place, your path, and your peace. I bless you now from the core heart of the Earth Mother and the ancient abiding wisdom of the Grandmother Moon. May you know your true self as pure joy, emerging from the inner peace in the prosperity of spirit that emerges from the infinite abundance. And so it is.